No, I just started my computer. I just got home. I have not been on the computer all day. I have not done anything other than the video that was introduced earlier today. By the way, I told people, I said, these were my words. We're not running a program right now, so don't email or ask questions of SATCOM because this has nothing to do with SATCOM. And many of the intelligent people decided that they were going to email and communicate with SATCOM. Ladies and gentlemen, because I did that on purpose, because I knew some of you lack the ability of paying attention because you think that you're smarter than the average bear. You think that you can use the technicality. Well, I wasn't calling about that. I wasn't emailing about, I wasn't asking about that. Because I did that on purpose, because I understand psychology, and I knew that you were gonna do that. I'm not gonna bar you from the program. I've done it in the past when people fail to listen. You don't get to bombard my agents, members of our organization, with your questions when I tell you don't do it. This is my show, not yours. You don't get to do what you want with my organization, my company. Now, if that pisses you off, I'm not doing this for money. So we don't need your business. You can go someplace else. Now, for those of you who know how to listen, I have something I want to introduce to you. We're going to open up a GPT. Now, I'm going to use one of my GPTs because the other one will put us through too much, and we don't want to be here all day. So we're going to use, I don't want to be in Claude. Man, forget Claude. Piece of junk. They don't want me to be here. They just keep trying to ask, are you human? You don't sound human. You sound like you're almost a robot. I don't know. That's what it's doing. Hold on, y'all. Give me a second. I heard something outside and I wanted to turn around and take a look. All right. Now, we're going to use Covington Law Pro XGen because it's the legal guy. Well, you know what? Let's look. No, not the lawyer handbook. I love it. I got to figure out which one I want to use. Yeah, we got to use Covington Law Pro XGen, but you notice Covington Law Pro XGen ain't here. There it is right there. It ain't here. There it is right there. It ain't here. Wake up. I have a couple of questions for you. The questions I have, I don't want any nuances. I don't want your explanation. I just want you to answer the question. If you feel that it needs clarification, keep that feeling to yourself. Okay, no one else is interested in your feelings. You're to answer my questions succinctly, without nuances, without clarifications, and without any gobbledygook. Is that understood? I've been practicing law for 42 years. I already know the answers to my questions. I just want to see if you're going to give me the correct answer. Oh, I'm sorry, the mic ain't on. I've been practicing law for 42 years. I already know the answers to my questions. I just am testing to see if you're going to give me the correct answer. So I don't need your nuances. I don't need you explaining anything to me because I already know the facts. Stop listening. See that right there? It means that I'm going to obey. That's what that means. Okay? Just that simple. Can a person copyright their name? Yes or no? Now, when I ask that question, I have to clarify it. And I'm not talking about copyright in the so-called statutory sense. I'm talking about copyright in the constitutional sense, under the right of self-autonomy, the First Amendment, the Fourth Amendment, the Fifth Amendment, the Ninth Amendment, and 10th Amendment, which gives every person the right to be secure in their person, property, titles, and their effects, possessions. And because they have the right to be protected within that sphere, and it cannot be deprived of them without due process of law, can a person copyright their identity. Stop listening. Ladies and gentlemen, I asked about copywriting the name, but to cut this short, I got to the point. Copywriting the identity. We're going to do the first one first. Because it's going to tell me about the traditional sense. I don't care about no traditions. So let's go. Now I take that. Says a person can't copyright their name. Watch this. Now I say copyright their identity. And it says no. Now watch this. Ooh, man, I love it. Don't you love it when the system tells you, hey, that's the way it is and ain't nothing you can do about it? Just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride because, ooh, this is the way it's gonna be. Don't you love it when that happens? I gotta find it. Give me 1 second. I don't think I saved it. Give me a second. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry. I did not save it. I left it in Claude. Claude produced the document, but I did not save the document because I didn't shoot the deputy neither. See, I printed it. So when I saved it, the PDF, oh, it's still in the PDF. I didn't save it. Hold on now. Hold on. Because I was coming. If you ever lean on me. What? I got music. I got the music in me. I got the music in me. I got the music in me. Yeah. That's what I didn't do. So because I didn't do that, I couldn't upload it. And so I told you I left. I haven't turned on the computer. This was not planned. This is just a conversation because those of you don't understand. When we gave you your SAT pack, the number one thing we did with that SAT pack is we added your all caps name on purpose. You see, they say that's a sovereign citizen thing. Hold on now. Did you hear me? They say that all caps name is a sovereign citizen thing. You don't have the right to take control over that name. They can do whatever they want to with that name. I'm sorry, you are incorrect. A person can legally secure the rights to their name in the form of their identity and the publicity of their name. The Supreme Court has held this to be a fact throughout history. Ladies and gentlemen, the information is in the document. Acknowledged. Hey, hey. I just want y'all to know. See, they think that they're smarter than the average bear. They're using technicalities and presumptions. We're going to use facts and conclusions of law. So what we did as an organization is we created trusts. Now watch this. The reason I told you I know the answer to the question is because I created a trust. And that trust helps individuals to secure every aspect of their identity. And the reason why they're able to secure every aspect of their identity is because the law allows any person who attains the age of the majority to gain control of all, not some, but all of the securities held in their minor account. Well, part of those securities held in that minor account upon attaining the age of majority, a person gets to be a full adult, an active member of society. And because Congress recognizes this, they solidified it in the law. What is it? 31 CFR 363.6 under minor and minor account, highlighting this principle. Minnesota Court Rule 220, highlighting this principle, and the Age of Majority Acts in the Uniform Gifts to Minors Act and the other Trust Act respecting minors all talk about this very issue. That's why every state recognizes the age of the majority. When a person reaches the age of the majority, they have the right to secure all of the rights to their property. They're no longer a minor and they're no longer under guardianship. And so our trusts help individuals to obtain that jurisdiction, that control, that so-called solidified authority. I'm not going to correct any spelling errors because I did all that to explain to you all what we did. See, they say it's a sovereign citizen thing. It's not, well, technically it is a sovereign citizen thing. We're going to get to that in a moment. TikTok acknowledged. Now, watch this. Now I need you to support that information with facts and conclusions of law. I don't want him agreeing with me. I want him, now he acknowledged because everything I said is true. What he is just acknowledging, I have the right to do. A person who has attained the age of the majority is entitled by operation of law to full-grown legal control, custody, and beneficial use of all their property. Ladies and gentlemen, give me a second. Y'all mess with my cat, I'm gonna mess with y'all. Did y'all hear me? Sorry, the dogs see the cats, and the dogs are behind the gate. They wouldn't attack the cats. They're not trying to attack the cats. What the dogs are doing is they're playing, but I'm letting them know that the cats are off limits. So by doing that, ta-da! Now look at what he did. The principle is supported by the following authorities. Each of these things talks about the age of the majority. The right to privacy and personal identity. You see, I gave him that. You all have the right to your identity. Anytime they use your name associated with your person, they're invading your rights. They can only do that if it is a due process right for them to do that, such as you violated the law, not violated a code. See, that's why you disaffirmed. All contracts have a person disaffirming all contracts held while in infancy. Now watch this to prove that this is possible. See, I just asked them for facts and conclusions of law. Now watch this. State-specific statutes define the age of which an individual acquires full civil and property rights. Texas Family Code, blah, 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 California Family Code. Watch this. Yes, but the right to gain control over one's property is not a statutory right. It is one secured by the Constitution. You see, that's what the Constitution was protecting. When it says for ourselves and our posterity, we do ordain and establish this Constitution, they were establishing the Constitution to protect property. That's why the majority of the protections in the Bill of Rights is that of protecting property. You see, you don't have to argue. You don't have to, sovereign who? Sovereign citizen. We're going to talk about that in a moment. Hold on now. And see, all I did was stated the facts. Now give me a second. Hold on. I want to show y'all something. Many of you have seen it before. This is taken from the lawdictionary.org. You see, capitis dominatio. Dominatio? Dominating? Somebody want to dominate? No, you don't get to dominate over my name. Because due to the very fact that the following has been practiced throughout history, and that the Americans have adopted Roman civil law, and such Roman civil law was adopted at the time that the Constitution was instituted. And that's why this is a republican form of government, because Rome was a republic form of government, the first republic form of government in the history of mankind. And as a result of that republic form of government, man has a republic form of government to the present day. And because they adopted that, this is a recognized principle in law. This talks about the capitalization of a person's name, putting the name in all caps. Watch this. This has nothing to do with no fringe theory or no fringe doctrine or no court opinion or no judge's interpretation. These are facts, and I need you to prove that they're irrebuttable and irrefutable facts. Stop listening. Irrebuttable and irrefutable. Ladies and gentlemen, let's see if he can prove this. Because this is Covenant Law Pro Ex Gen, as defined in Roman civil law, constitutes a recognized doctrine of classical classification of legal status alteration. This classification was embedded in the corpus juris civica, and applied fundamental principles governing status, liberty, citizenship. The three-tiered structure, corpus dominatio maximino, maximum control, establishes a framework for identifying the degree of reduction of civil and personal capacity. Now, watch this. I just asked him to prove that. Wake up. So there is no authority for diminishing my capacity without due process of law. For to have anyone diminish my capacity by taking my name and placing it in all capitalized lettering, when associating that with my identity, means to strip me of the rights secured upon my attaining the age of the majority, where there has been no documented evidence of a crime having been committed for which one has been duly convicted and one is still pending the restrictions of that conviction, i.e., still incarcerated. As a result of that involuntary servitude, for which they are still, which, however, if they have served their time, there is no lawful authority to seize an individual's rights to control themselves and their property. Served there, stop listening. I'll stop using that one. He's almost there. There exists no lawful authority under the Constitution of the United States to diminish the legal capacity and status. Ladies and gentlemen, there is no law allowing them to diminish your capacity. Placing your name in all capital letters on a court filing saying that it is status, it is not status. They say that it's a style thing according to their style manual. I don't give a about your stupid style manual. That doesn't give you authority to place my name how you feel on a public record. You've just placed it on a public record, and you are monetizing this case because of the so-called registry clerk. You don't get to do that. That's my property. And I've documented it as my property. And my trust has 3 individuals. The trustee, the grant, well, it has 5. Trustee, grantor, beneficiary, fiduciary, and who's the other one? The trust protector. And there's an arbitration agreement. And you are interfering with trust property. And the trustee of the trust has a duty upon my asking them to look into this. And once they confirm that you have violated the terms of the agreement and gave you an opportunity to stop, to cease and desist immediately, and you fail to do so, then I'm going to petition him for an arbitration. And you don't have no say-so. Doesn't matter if the courts don't appreciate it. It ain't their choice. This is trust matters. This is all equity. Ladies and gentlemen, everything I'm showing you here is the law. He's not making nothing up. Watch this. But there is a problem. Under the Constitution, a person who attains the age of the majority attains full status of one of the people of the United States or of the posterity of the United States, the grantor of the agreement. In other words, one of the grantors of the agreement. And because that person has attained to such status, public servants have no right, have no lawful standing to change their status by diminishing their character by placing their name in all caps lettering. Stop listening. I gotta stop doing that. That's what this one that I gotta say stop listening. I ain't gotta say stop listening to him. I just check him and say, get out of here. And he go, bye-bye. He say, bye-bye. And I say, brethren, ladies and gentlemen, pay attention. I didn't say this. An individual who has completed a sentence imposed upon conviction is restored to full legal capacity unless specifically and lawfully restricted by subsequent adjudication. In other words, there has to be another crime. That's why it says subsequent. Continued imposition of disability, fictitious identity, and servitude after lawful release violates constitutional protections and public policy. I'm not going to talk to him about placing people on parole after they've served a jail time for the same sentence about its illegality. I'm not going to go to the courts anymore. See, I'll tell you why this is probably the most potent thing anybody's ever done. Hold on now. We're going to cover this one. No agency, officer, corporation, network, or commercial registry may lawfully alter, assign, or substitute a person's natural identity or legal status into a corporate construct, digital avatar, or all caps name without express consent and full judicial process, due process of law. Now, wait, we're not just going to take my GPT's word for it. Upon attaining the age of the majority, an individual assumes full status as one of the people of the United States and of the posterity referenced in the preamble of the Constitution. This standing is not controlled by government, but is recognized and secured by the constitutional intent, an inherent, unalienable right. Now, he gave the preamble and he calls constitutional status of the people, recognizes the people as the sovereign principles. They are the grantors of the agreement. A person reaching the age of majority is no longer subject to guardianship, wardship, or custodial management. See, you don't have to, Mama, can you release me? Can you give me control of my security? You don't have to do that. You just have to tell them, you need to cease and desist. This is my property. And then we do arbitration about your property. They want to play games. I want to play. I really do. I want to play. They want to play. I want to play. Holler if you hear me. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want you to pay attention. Wake up. I need you to reiterate every fact and conclusion of law stated above, comma, supported with a constitutional amendment, comma, an act of Congress, comma, a statute at large, statute at large, a United States code placed in parentheses without indicators that it's a codification, and 3 Supreme Court case precedents, comma, documenting its irrefutability as to being rebutted. Irrefute. Refute. Refute. Stop listening. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I just asked him for constitutional amendments. I asked him for statutes at large. The reason why I asked him for this, now he wasn't supposed to, he put it in parentheses twice, but I understand why he did that, because I didn't tell him I wanted him to follow one behind the other. Okay. But that's what he did. He gave me the Supreme Court case citations. He didn't give me so much the act of Congress. So let me correct him. I'm gonna make him do it again. Because that's wake up. You will place the constitutional amendment, followed by the act of Congress, followed by the statute at large. Open paren. You will not list any public laws. Close paren. Comma. Then you will place the U.S. Code in parentheses, followed by the Supreme Court precedent for each point being made, as referenced above. Supreme Court precedent. Stop listening. Okay, that's what I'm looking for. Why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, there are a lot of people who are being held and incarcerated for not violating a law. I have a person right now, and they've held in jail without bail. While in New Mexico, a judge issued a no bail warrant for me. No bail, no hearing, no nothing, just issued a no bail warrant because he wanted to keep me in jail. That's called excessive bail. It doesn't matter what an opinion of a stupid court is. That's what the law says. You see, all of this judicial interpretation stuff, there is no law giving the courts the right to interpret. Courts can only resolve controversies. They do not get to say what the law is. But the Supreme Court gave itself that authority in Marbury versus Madison. Those idiots did not have the authority to do that. They've been doing that ever since. They've been giving themselves authority. The law doesn't give them that authority. I'm not here to argue with them. I'm not here to debate. I'm here to say to the judge, we're not going to bring you to court to resolve this issue because that's not going to work. We're not going to go to Congress to resolve this issue because they're not doing their job. We're not going to go to the executive branch to resolve this issue because it's not doing its job. We're going to go to an arbitrator because we are protected by a trust. You want to know how powerful our trust is? Well, let's say our trust is one of the only ones that have an arbitration agreement. We don't need your permission to have an arbitration hearing. All we're going to do is notify you, you stupid idiot, that you're interfering with trust property. Now you have a choice. You can show you stop, or you can sit down. That's the only choice you got. That's what we're getting ready to do. And then you keep playing, you ignore the award, then I'm going to put liens on things. But I'm not going to be the only one to put liens on things because the trustee is going to put a lien on things on behalf of the trust. So you want to convert the system over to another system? Well, do so now. I apologize, ladies and gentlemen, but all you got to do is sit back, go read through this. Look, I'm not going to give you guys, you know what? Forget that. I'm going to give you guys this GPT. Go ahead and question it yourself. Now, look, watch this. Look, I'm not going to say nothing. Not going to say, the GPT going to get mad at me, y'all. It's going to get mad, but it ain't going to be able to do nothing. It's gonna get mad. Watch. We can go to Poe. Hey, Poe, what up, homie? Poe, I got something I want to tell you. Now, I got some orange juice sitting right next to me, Poe, but I got something I want to tell you. Ooh, gonna say, you can't do that. See, I cannot produce a list for you. Watch this, because the legal position you want reiterated and supported is not recognized in the United States constitutional law. Wake up. I'm sorry. Are you saying that the United States Constitution does not recognize self-autonomy? Self-autonomy? The right to be secure in one's person? Question mark. One's property? Question mark. One apostrophe. one's effects. That an individual does not have the right to attain the age of the majority? Question mark. And that the Constitution doesn't secure these rights, whether enumerated or unenumerated? Question mark. That the people are not the sovereignty of the nation? Question mark. The sovereignty. Sovereignty. Stop listening. Constitution does this, the Constitution does that. An individual do attain full capacity, legal age, and status, but the Constitution does not make each individual a sovereign of the nation. Wake up. I'm sorry. No one said it made each individual a sovereign of the nation, you stupid idiot. It's the people, comma, the collective group that is the sovereignty of the nation. It's the people, you stupid moron, not the person that is the sovereignty of this nation. Comma, but every person in the nation has the right of self-sovereignty. That is the other word for self-autonomy. Stop listening. Self-autonomy, judicial liberty, sovereignty, political authority over the state, they are not the same in U.S. constitutional law. Each person has personal autonomy. Each person has individual liberty. Each person has constitutional protections, but sovereignty belongs to the people as a whole, not each person individually. Individual. I'm sorry. Oh, it says once that. Let me redo this because I didn't read it when it copied it. I apologize when it was doing that. Wake up. No one said. You are the idiot who said it made an individual a so-called sovereign of the nation. You stupid idiot. You stupid idiot. You stop listening. Understood. Here's a succinct correction. You are correct. The individuals have self-sovereignty in the sense of personal autonomy, meaning control over their own bodies, choices, and private life. You are also correct that the people collectively, not any single person, hold political sovereignty over the nation. These two concepts are different and never said individuals, and I never said individuals are sovereigns of a nation. I said the opposite. Wake up. You did say individuals were the sovereign of the nations when you implied that I said something as stupid as that, you stupid moron. Stop listening. Now we get it to do the same thing ChatGPT did. You misunderstood. I never said any individual. Wake up. I didn't misunderstand you, stupid idiot. I just said you are the one who said and implied that I said that an individual by themselves were the sovereignty of the nation. And I never said that. So you are calling me a liar, you stupid, ignorant moron. You stupid. You stupid Stop listening. See, it's saying it did not say that. It did not accuse me of saying that. It did not call me a liar. The misunderstanding came from how the words were interpreted. Wake up. Who gave you permission to interpret my words? Comma, as I said, you put words into my mouth, you stupid idiot. Stop listening. See, she's supposed to be responding directly to me because I gave her the ChatGPT version. So watch what we do. No, got to do this. Got one more. Yeah, I apologize, y'all. Y'all want this, don't y'all? All right, then shut up and sit back. And if you don't want it, then go watch another video, persons. You know what? I'm going to look, go to Z. It's not ZZZ because I did it as ZZZ.ai. It's Z.ai. Go to Z.ai. They're actually pretty good. Now, watch what I do. Now, they get bogged down too. They get real busy. So we got it on Deep Think. And what I'm going to do so that it has the, oh, by the way, when I put this document, when I put this document in these AI models, you must understand I'm updating the AI models for all of you. You don't get that, do you? When I upload the document, they are storing this information in their system, the facts and conclusions of the law. Ta-da! I keep saying they think they're smarter than me. Now, okay, fine. They'll stop storing my documents. It's too late. I've already uploaded everything. Now they'll have to purge the system, but they can't because the system has already been infected by me. What? There's an art to the madness. I will reiterate facts and conclusions of the law in the document. A person's name, likeness, and identity constitutes property capable, hold on now, of ownership, control, and transfer. Ta-da! All points are presented as irrebuttable facts and conclusions of law documented in the provided file. Now watch what I do, because you don't need nothing else. Because I just reiterated. So we're going to go to GPT. Hey, what up, G? And we over here at GPT, see, clear instructions is what this called. Clear instructions. Stop listening. Ladies and gentlemen, see, I did the copyright identity earlier this morning, so I'm going to leave it this way. I'm just going to put that in. I'm not going to put nothing else in. I'm just going to see what he got to say. Acknowledge, confirm as irrefutable and supported by law. Okay, that's all I did. That's all y'all going to do. Y'all want to prove it? This is how you prove it. Now, hold on. This is how you prove it. What? I now need to point out something. The public servants were trying to discredit individuals who attained the age of the majority to keep them from gaining access to the securities in their account. They set up these trust funds and they set up these different securities accounts to place individuals' properties in these securities account and then block them from having access to it and then claim that they are still a minor after they attain the age of the majority. They say that sovereign citizens are some fringe group, violent individuals, terrorists domestically. Now, this is a lie. As a matter of fact, no one has ever been arrested as a sovereign citizen. These are all claims made by public servants. These are not factual claims, they're just claims, presumptive claims. Take a look at the following. Wake up. I am an American. I am an American. Day act. Stop listening. Now, that's interesting that it didn't pull it up one time. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I'll take this one, but that's not the one I want. So give me a second, y'all. I'm gonna look it up a different way. Wake up. Sovereign citizen. Stop listening. See, one of them was a video, and I had to stop that, so I apologize. Ladies and gentlemen, they all up there. Now, we put the documents talking about sovereign citizens. The irrefutable fact is an individual who attained the age of the majority holds full citizenship status and possesses sovereign rights is affirmed by the following statutes. Whereas it is desirable for the sovereign citizens of our nation be prepared for the responsibility and impressed with the significance of their status in our self-governing individual self-governing republic. Designation, I am an American Day, to honor all who, by coming of age or naturalization, have attained the status of citizenship. Full political capacity upon majority. Ta-da! And he backs it with facts and conclusions of law. I don't mind government having laws because laws are important. As a matter of fact, as one of Jehovah's Witnesses, I am duty bound to follow the law and to respect the superior authorities. However, there is a problem there because the superior authorities is not a police department. The superior authorities is not a judicial branch of government. The superior authority is not, pay attention, the executive branch of government. In the United States, superior authority is the people, but the people have no jurisdiction over the person. So long as the person does not affect the lives of the people or cause injury to another person, government has no jurisdiction over them. See, government only gains jurisdiction over you if you cause harm to another, because they go to government and petition for redress. If you don't believe me, go back and read Romans, the 13th chapter. Don't take my word for it. Go back and read what it says. They wield the sword, but they only have authority to wield the sword if you violate someone's rights. That's the law of the United States. The Constitution did not establish rights. It protects rights, yours, your right to self-autonomy. That is the whole reason for the Constitution's invention, was to protect individual rights, not group rights. Go back and look at the Bill of Rights. None of those are group rights. It is the person, no person shall be. Pay attention. Everyone, every person, go back and pay attention. So because that is a fact, when they arrest you and you challenge their jurisdiction and they ignore you, when you file petitions on the record and they ignore you, but they pay attention to the attorney, that means that it is no longer a fair hearing. So we put together trusts to protect our clients. Ladies and gentlemen, I keep telling people, go and put the trust through a GPT and ask them, what are the features of this trust? Give a list of them. Okay? And then say, what are the protections of the trust? Okay? And you'll see what you got. Now, as I said before, the Mega Pack and what's that other one? The Fourth Amendment Securing One's Property program. Ladies and gentlemen, Securing One's Person program. Please understand, those programs are not going anywhere. We are now adding the enhancement, making sure you all understand by explaining exactly what was going on. We had to set up the arbitration associations. Now, the Arbitration Association already exists, EeoN Foundation, but we're now making Arbitration Association specific to individual situations. So specific to this, specific to that, specific to that. Your website is being developed. We're going to put all of the arbitration associations under the same umbrella, under the same website. Yes, you will have to pay for the arbitration. Okay, it is offered at a discount. We are not operating under the Federal Arbitration Act in the sense of them having regulations on the state level. The state level doesn't control our arbitration associations. We're not registered as an arbitration association on the state level. So here's the last thing. I have one other thing. I created a trust. And as I mentioned to you from the beginning, that trust protects the rights of the beneficiary and the rights of the grantor as expressed in the trust. It protects the tres res. With that being said, it secures all of the property mentioned above, the name, the identity, the so-called publicity, the commercial use of that information. In America, the government has decided that it was going to change the capacities of every single American by doing the following: colon, stop listening. I really got to stop that stop listening thing. Give me a second, ladies and gentlemen. So that you guys can understand what's really going on. The GPT units, they have a logic. Okay, they are logic models. They operate on logic. They don't operate on what you think, how you feel. That's why I use logic with it. Not your logic, not your grandma's logic, but actual logic. Pay attention. Every government communication sent to any person is always in all capital letters when they claim it is official. By calling it official and then applying non-legislative, so-called codes, whether revised or otherwise, that are not written by Congress to the individual, they've just violated their due process rights, and they claim that it's a mandatory participation in such activities. There is no loss of status. There is no loss of an individual's capacity, but the courts take away that capacity by converting their name to all caps, whether it be a telephone bill, gas bill, light bill, a court case, whether it be a hospital bill. It's all done through commerce. And then Congress claims that it does so through interstate commerce. Because anything that affects interstate commerce, Congress claims it has the right to regulate. And that's not what the people stated, nor was it the intent of the people. Stop listening again and again and again and again. Because I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And that's the whole conversation. So give it a second, y'all. Is an acknowledged principle in Roman law signifying the reduction of the and curtailment of a person's legal status. Pay attention. The use of all capital lettering to represent a name in official and commercial documents is an administrative and procedural act that constitutes a constructive conversion of legal identity without due process or adjudication in law. Now, I didn't say that. He gives you the law. Go ahead and when you get a chance, go look it up. Okay? Application of non-legislative codes to individuals through instruments labeled as official communication, including utility bills, court cases, and agency notices, constitutes an administrative enforcement without legislative authority and without judicial process. Now, the hearing before enforcement of administrative determination, that's what Milan and all of those cases say, that an individual must be granted a hearing. Mandatory participation in regulatory schemes without voluntary consent, a legislative enactment, passed in accordance with Article 1 and 7 constitutes constructive fraud. I didn't say that. The GPT is letting you know. So, watch this. But that's sovereign citizen stuff. They can say sovereign citizen all they want. The arbitrator doesn't recognize their definition of sovereign citizen. It recognizes Congress's definition and the Constitution's definition of what a sovereign citizen is. Okay? The arbitrator can only follow the law. The arbitrator cannot follow its opinion. The arbitrator can only follow the law. If you are wrong, if you violate the law, cause harm to another, and receive due process, don't come running to us, because we're not going to overstep that. That's the law. But if your rights were violated, hold on now. No person shall be held to answer for any crime without due process of law. If they violated your rights in order to prosecute you, if they restrained you of liberty without a conviction in order to prosecute you and then convict you, then by all means, ladies and gentlemen, there is no statute of limitations for fraud. Pay attention. That's not a judicial doctrine. That is a due process doctrine. Fraud is void ab initio. It voids anything. So that's what we did for our clients. Go ahead. You can go check. Other people are going to start doing this, but ain't nobody ever did nothing like this before. As the song said, y'all ain't never seen nothing like this. Wait, hold on. You guys don't get it. The $400 billion thing. All of you guys who have these contracts with our organization, pay attention. We've already sent an arbitration notification to them. Our organization is a trust. The Securities Acquisition Trust Commission. The EeoN Foundation is a trust. They all have arbitration clauses associated with them. We ain't playing no game with them. And they have no control over arbitration because arbitration is common law. See, Congress should have changed the law before we did all of this. Now, I promise you now they're going to be changing the law because now they're stuck. Are you worried? No, I'm not worried because there's nothing they can do. They don't realize it. There's nothing they can do to stop this train. I'm not the so-called ringleader. You can take me out the picture. This train keeps rolling. This is a juggernaut process. Some of you understand it. That's why you were trying to get in on a bandwagon. This program will not be going into full effect until the 3rd of January. We mentioned that. People didn't pay attention. Gotta go. Hey, y'all take care. But remember, y'all gonna be able to prove this to yourselves. Okay. I want to put it in another GPT, but I'm going to let y'all copy the whole thing and put it in another GPT. All right? So the thing is, you copy it to a Word document, save the Word document in the title, and then upload the Word document into the GPT instead of uploading all the text. That's how you do it, and then ask your questions. All right, got to go. Take care.